Excellency, the federal government under the presidency of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, which was the vice president, introduced the amnesty program. Alongside, we have the NDDC to solve the problems of the region. So would you say that this establishment have met the aspiration of the people of the region?
Thank you so much. First, let me commend the leadership of NDDC now and those who have led NDDC before for their commitment towards solving problems within the Niger Delta. Present leadership is trying. Others have done their best too. But, when you ask me in terms of satisfaction, definitely people from the Niger Delta cannot be satisfied. In the first place, NDDC doesn't even get enough money to solve the problems of the Niger Delta. Look, a clear case is the East-West Road. Whenever you drive on that road, you cannot be happy. I was the president, we tried to see what we could do, but still we didn't go too far. So Niger Delta is complex, an area where the swampy areas, the waterlogged areas, the wetlands are enormous. And developing wetlands in terms of road infrastructure is more expensive than making roads on dry land. So it's not an easy thing. And as long as the money is not even enough, there's no way NDDC will satisfy the people of the Niger Delta, because the basic infrastructure required to develop the area is not yet there. But they are trying. And you also mentioned the issue of the amnesty. Yes, the amnesty focuses on youth empowerment mainly. It's not into infrastructural development, mainly giving skills and training young people. And in that regard too, they have done reasonably well within this period. And because of the amnesty, the crisis in the Niger Delta has actually it's come down significantly. And that is why the oil industry activities are going on top of a reasonable period. So they've succeeded in doing that. But the people of the Niger Delta will really need more to make sure that the area is developed. You know, it's difficult to develop an area overnight. If you look at the history of the oil industry, you know that at the beginning, nobody cared. If a body like NDDC had been there for a very long time, probably things would have been different. I'm not a product of NDDC per se, but I was in UNPADEC. I was a pioneer, assistant director in UNPADEC that gave rise to the NDDC. When the NDDC was formed, I migrated to become the deputy governor, got into politics. So I was relating with them. So I have an idea about what they've been doing over the period. UNPADEC, when Oswald was appointed as chairman of UNPADEC, who were recruited, a lot of money was given at the beginning. So many projects were awarded. After that, funding had started problems. So you now had projects that couldn't be completed. Some 1/4, some 50%, some 80%. And that has been the story of the Niger Delta area. And even before UNPADEC, there were other intervention programs that really, at that time, the contracts were being awarded in Lagos. People don't even know the areas that they're supposed to come and do the contracts. And all kinds of projects were scattered at completion. So it is now that things are a bit steady. And I believe if it continues this way for the next 10, 15 years, people will begin to feel the impact of NDDC. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your Excellency, the story of the NDDC will not be complete without the views of the founding fathers. There is a common African adage that says, it's your past that charts your future. Having worked in UNPADEC that gave birth to NDDC, you definitely have in-depth knowledge of the workings of the Commission and the region. And therefore, how would you assess the performance of the Commission over the past 25 years?
Well, just like I mentioned before, even when we started on Paddock, that initial time, a lot of money was released by Abacha to us. And when Osfor was initially appointed, so everybody was happy that, and Osfor was a very serious-minded person. Of course, he's a leader person. And he had a clear vision of what to do. But after that first 1 or 2 years or so, funding became an issue. So even the projects that were initiated by Umpada then couldn't continue. NDDC has a defined source of funding. But if NDDC has been getting their funds based on the law, probably they would have done much better. But of course, you know more than me that you have been owed a lot of money. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So when you have funding issues, you cannot get to the targets. Well, for the past 25 years, they've done well. There's no part of the Niger Delta within the oil producing areas that you will go and you will not see the impact of NDDC. But whether that really can change the people is a different ballgame. For example, your project in the terms of this solar light, is quite nice. But the other day I was just driving to my village, and the road that leading to my place, the NDDC put light. I think it's NDDC.
Yes,
Because the government that refurbished the road. Yes, the road was initially constructed by NDDC, but I think the road collapsed and the state government refurbished the road and NDDC put lights. And I see that people are already stealing the lights. So that is the problem of Nigeria. It's not just about the Niger Delta alone. Assuming there is a major gas turbine somewhere and light being moved through conductors to these places, it's difficult. They put vandalized conductors, but it's safer than this standalone one pull down the pole, carry the top, one set to the next contractor, and to do the same NDDC job. Kind of thing. So within the past 25 years, the presence of NDDC is felt across the Niger Delta. But whether people get the maximum expectation is a different scenario. And also one of the things that has really created this problem is the leadership of NDDC has been so checkered. People hardly stay for 4 years before they are removed. And when you don't have a sustained leadership for a period of time, it affects any organization, even as a nation. If you compare the Asian tigers and Nigeria and so on, you really see one of the key differences, how long their leaders stayed in office, how long our leaders stay in office. So in NDDC, some people don't even stay up to 2 years, they are removed. 3 years, they are removed. It doesn't give that kind of impetus to drive the process of development properly. So that is critical. But as a summary, yes, the impact is there, but not to the extent that people would expect. Of course, people always expect more.
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And you have made things very simple for me, because that was the question I was to come with, the issue of intermittent changes in administration. Once more, thank you. What advice do you have for government in order to sort out this problem of intermittent changes?
Just like Jonathan think differently from most other leaders. My conviction is that if a president appoints a set of leaders, say MDs and executive directors, the chairman and the board of organizations like NDDC, even if there's a change in leadership of the country, these offices should stay and serve their tenure. Because these frequent changes really is a fundamental problem to our development goals. Somebody just coming within 2 years to change that person, and that person comes, And sometimes getting another person on board takes a long process. And with National Assembly involvement, the presidency involvement, all this kind of office of the Secretary of Government, it becomes like a very riotous situation. And under that kind of setting, changing people too frequently is the worst thing in terms of development. So I would have, to me, if you ask my opinion, whoever takes over, yeah, of course, ministers will go. No problem about that. Doesn't affect the work of the ministries that much. But heads of parastatals should be allowed to work. They are Nigerians, at least to serve out their term.
Yes, Your Excellency, you've rightly identified funding as a significant challenge for the NDDC. What are your thoughts on how the NDDC can overcome this drawback?
Well, the funding for the NDDC, the funding is properly structured. But I think they are not getting what they're supposed to get. The next option is NDDC probably may also go into investment. Nobody has actually considered that, but in other countries, a number of government parastatals also go into investment. Like if you go to some countries, their international security agency, the NIA is equivalent of our NIA. They have hotels across the world. So they make money of their own. Some of the secret intelligence organizations in most countries they have a lot of investment. So with or without money coming from the government, they make their own money and they use it. In Nigeria, the problem is that when you get that done, probably the issues of corruption will come and the funds will disappear. Otherwise, NDDC can, knowing that we have the challenges of funding, NDDC should begin to think about creative areas of investment, areas that the funds are safe. So at the end of the day, you are sure that you got the money, but not into risky businesses. Those kind of risks will be taken by individuals, not corporate bodies like NDDC. But they can invest in areas where the funds are safe. That would help.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, sir, what kind of collaborative framework would you like to see between the NDDC, state government, and the community beneficiaries?
At the beginning of the formation of NDDC, that is what was expected, that NDDC and the states especially will work together. And in fact, if there is a major infrastructural project, say a road project that is quite big, to make sure that the project is completed within a short time frame for people to benefit from, NDDC and the state can participate. That has been there. And that is why the governors themselves within the NDDC area are supposed to have the meeting. But those meetings are hardly yes. And so that relationship between the state and the NDDC is so weak now. And probably that's one of the reasons. And sometimes you rather see a rivalry between the state and the NDDC. And if there is this rivalry, especially political issue, it creates a gulf between the leadership at the state level and the NDDC. And when that gulf is created, people begin to fight over nothing, and it affects the output of NDDC. The ideal thing is for the state and NDDC to work together. The communities, yes, if you want to put a project in the community should have ownership of the project. But the key thing is the leadership at the state level and the leadership at the NDDC level. The relationship is a bit weak and it's supposed not to be so.
Thank you, Excellency. Finally, the Niger Delta Development Commission is quite pivotal in the development of the region. July 2025, the Commission marks 25 years. What message do you have, firstly, for the people of the region and then the Commission as they celebrate 25 years?
First, let me congratulate NDDC. 25 is a significant age, even in terms of human birthdays and other programs. When you celebrate 25 years of marriage, in fact, you know that you've done well. So for NDDC to stay for 25 years, we're happy. Because none of the previous bodies that was set up has ever endured this time lapse. And, but NDDC endured. So we must commend the leadership and we're happy. Clearly, for those of us from the Niger Delta, I remember late Taisolare in one of his essays say, I wish you what I wish myself every year. May you have a hard time this year. So may your ways be rough.
Yes.
You know, the Niger Delta is complex. We need the development. We need there's a lot of young people that have no jobs. And so we need to create jobs for this. But these things cannot come up overnight. It takes a process. And I will plead that the people should continue to work with the NDDC and other departments of the states and federal government. I believe gradually, if we are totally committed, the environment will continue to have a facelift. The issue of vandalism of infrastructure and stealing of critical installations of government, things that will benefit the ordinary people, should be minimized, and communities should take ownership of these facilities that are put there for their own benefit. I believe things will continue to improve. I believe if NDDC continue this way, things will continue to improve. In addition to what the states are also doing, definitely there's significant improvement in the Niger Delta. Though people may say no, but I knew if you take Bayelsa State, for example, I was living in Port Harcourt when Bayelsa State was created. Maybe you were a baby, so what you know what Inagua was at that time and what Inagua is today. I know what my community was and what my community is today. So there's significant improvement, though we have not reached where we aspire to be. But if we continue to protect the infrastructure put in place for our use, I think with time, and it's not going to be a lifetime, there will be significant changes that will be happening. The key area for NDDC, like when I spoke during the program you made reference to, is that the issue of job creation. How do we do? What do we do to make sure that young men and women are gainfully employed? The key thing is to help people to employ themselves. How do we do to make sure the young people become job creators, not who be looking for jobs? And that is one area that NDDC has to focus. I know they are doing things about that, but they really need to focus that on, because that is key.
Thank you. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you, and thank you for coming to have this conversation. I'm quite pleased to hear that NDDC is celebrating 25 years. So it's a great opportunity for me at this point to wish NDDC 25 years of existence. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.